Hello, welcome back to LEMPRO channels. Today we are going to deploy Active Directory as the part two of our first theoretical aspect of which was the part one. So today we are going to actually implement the whole thing. In our little scenario, we'll have a server acting as a domain controllers and then at least two PCs with a switch. At the end of the day, if we can have one PC finally joining the domain, then we know that the rest will be able to join the domain controller. So this is our little topology we will be able to utilize, and then we move on from there. So I have entered into our server environment, and this is the most important aspect here. So here we want to be able to install our Active Directory. So the servers will act as our Active Directory domain controller. And so we want to install the roles. So you could install the role from add roles and features from your server manager's dashboard, or you can say manage, and you can say add roles and features. So there we go. You say next, next, and then we choose the server and the list of the roles. So you can see Active Directory Domain Services. We have chosen that. Once you choose that, it automatically give you the options to add some of the features that are very, very necessary. So we have done that, and now we need to add the DNS servers too. We've added directory. If even you don't choose the DNS, it will automatically include that. So next we go next, and then we installed. Now installing the roles does not really make the host or the domain or that machine a domain controller. We just install the service. So it means we had to promote it. Once you promote it, then that server or that host become a domain controller. So it's installing now. Within some few minutes, then we will be done with that. Great. Once the installations is done, next options is this configuration required. So installation succeeded on lab_. This is one. So we promote this. Great. The first step, you have deployment configuration. We have three options. Select the deployment options. We have add domain controller to an existing domain, provided if we already have an existing forest, but we don't have, add a new domain to an existing forest. We just want to have a new forest. Once you do that, meaning that this server in your SME environment means this is the very first server ever you're going to have. So we'll call that domain lenproghana.com. And we'll say next. What it's trying to do is trying to scan through the network to check whether this name exists. The name called lenproghana.com. There's a forest-wide role called domain naming roles, making sure we have consistent name. I mean, the name should be unique name. So we cannot have two lenproghana.com domain within the same forest. So here we have the next options here is domain controller options. You can see specify the domain controller's capabilities. We have DNS server, we have the global catalogs, and we have the read-only domain controller. This server is not going to be a read-only domain controller. Remember, prior to our theoretical part one of this topic, we spoke about the role DCs. In short, we call it the role DCs. It is implemented in smaller branches where we don't have a full swing security protective mechanism. And then we cannot afford to send a train IT there to just manage that server as well. We don't want the information to be edited or to be amended, so we make it read only as well. If the branch bandwidth is so slow or lower, then that is appropriate to do that. So another thing we have is the directory service restore mode. Please, the password you put in here is very crucial. Make sure you put a password that by default, you can always remember this password, nevertheless, the circumstances. The reason is that every services, one day it may have an issues, and Active Directory is equally complicated to recover. So when Active Directory have issues, you have to go to Active Directory restore mode. And go into the restore mode, if you don't have this password, it becomes very difficult. Now, of course, in the newest Windows servers, there are unique mechanism and tools you can use to get at. But why should you go through all those critical stages and steps to do that? So just simply remember this password and you will be on your safe side. So next, yes, this is giving us warning. A dedication for this DNS server cannot be created. It's just a warning because the authoritative parent zones cannot be found. Yes, we don't have any zone yet because this guy will act as the first DNS zones, which will become the parent authoritative zones. So next is trying to locate the net BIOS name. Previously, this was very important, especially for Microsoft Exchange, but Microsoft Exchange has fully relied now on DNS services. So net BIOS name. No, so let's see what it will say here. And net BIOS name does not exceed 50 characters. So it have used Lempro Ghana as the name scheme. Next is going to show us the path where the information will be stored. So let's just wait on that. This is the default path where you have your data files, which is the ntds.dat files, your log files, and your sysfo are installed by default in this path, which is recommended to leave them there. And then we have the review options, all these options. If you think you are okay, you can use this scripts to be able to automate things. Depends on you. Perhaps maybe you want to use scripting stuff to be able to deploy other servers. Now it's trying to go and check for our prerequisite check, making sure that hardware resources and solutions, applications are all well okay. Now, basically, we want to make sure the prerequisite is checked. If we have warning, no big deal, we can go ahead. But an error, we'll have issues on that. So let's see what is say for us is trying to scan through the system to make sure the check is healthy. And if it's not healthy, it will also give us an error. So it's scanning through. So great. All prerequisite check passed successfully. Click the install to begin the installation. See, of course, when you look at the view result area, you can see some few warnings, but that is not a big deal. We can just go ahead and install, and those things later on you can choose to rectify them. Great. The installation is done, and you are about to sign out, and the system will restart. So it should be able to restart by itself. It's restarting now. So we'll just wait a while until it reboot. Okay, now it has restarted successfully. And let's see how we can log back on. So you can see now it is Lempro Ghana /administrator. So let me just log on. Great, I'm logging on now. Now, after you install the roles, the system will ask you to promote and we have done the promotions, and this server now become an Active Directory domain controllers and is our root forest, because he is our first domain within our infrastructure or our topology. Now, having done so, we had to make sure that next task is to make sure the name resolutions issue is resolved, meaning we have to check our DNS. So let's see that is our ipconfig/or. I can see it has an IP address 10.10, but then the DNS area is a loopback address, and the loopback is that. So if I say NS host name again, host name is lab. So if I say NS lookup, lab underscore DC1, I can see it's not being resolved at all. So what I need to do now is first to make sure I have the requisite IP address. So I'm moving on that note. Okay, so now I have to put in my default gateway for my routers interface. Okay, so 1. And then my DNS, since the domain controller is also acting as a DNS server at the directory integrated zones, then I will also put 10.10 in this environment. So 10.10, okay, great. Let's see whether it's going to resolve. I hit that. Let's hope it didn't resolve. So mean we have to go to the DNS server itself. So, well, we go to tools in our server managers, tools, DNS, and this is our DNS managers interface, and I drop down and I have my forward local zone. Let me just widen this space, and I have lemproghana.com, and I have my forward local zones. But you can see I don't have the reverse. So by default, once you have added directory ingress zones, the forward local zone is sorted, but you have to do the reverse to make sure that your DNS is healthy. So I go through the step. Note is primary zones, and then the zone files will be stored into added directory. Doing such, that's what making an added directory integrated zones. Once it's added directory integrated zones, it means the zone files will be secure if you're going to do zone transfers. So here we have added directory zone replication scopes, and we say all DNS servers running on the domain controller in this domain to LearnPro. So we want that to happen for zone transfer, and then we want a reverse local zone, obviously. And what would be the zone network ID 192.168.10? Once you key in that, it gives you the reverse of that. Next, allow only secure dynamic update. Of course, because this is an added directory integrated zone now, as you can see here. So, and then I stated that the zone file is stored into added directory files, which is the ntds.dat files, and that file is fully encrypted and locked down. So obviously, when there's a zone transfer, the file is encrypted, then the zone transfer will be a secure one. So yes, done. Yes, you have done the reverse local zone already, but you need to still work on some records, which key is the pointer records, and I need to stick the IPs of that 10.10 of the server. Now, if you know the full name here, which you can see from here, you can just key that in lab underscore dc1.lemproghana.com, and I say next, and great. So it's there, fully there now. Let's go back to our command prompt and see whether the name resolution can be resolved. So first we did that first, and we were having some issues here. Now let's see, bingo. So the name is being resolved fully, and once it's been resolved, we are good to go in this case. Next thing is to now see whether if I go, let me minimize this, and I want to go into my Active Directories service. You can use the Active Directory Users and Computer, or you can use the Active Directory Administrative Center. But let me just go here, and in this environment, you can see the informations, computers. We don't have any machine that have joined it. But if you click on domain controller, obviously he's the domain controllers and running as a GCAP by default. So we don't have anyone yet that have joined this server. So our next task is to make the client to join it. And once again, make sure that you install your roles and your features. And then after the installation, the system will ask you to promote. Once you promote, then the server becomes a domain controller. Next, we make a client to join the domain. So we want to do that to make a client to join the domain. Our VMware, as I said, those servers run on a VMware EXSI. Let me put in the password. Great, so I will launch this server, and there you go, full screen as well. Great. Now I want to see what is happening with him as well. Let's see, CMD. I want to see whether he has an IP address. So I use the IP config switch all. Yes, he has an IP address which is 10.100, and we have a subnet max. So first, let me try to ping our domain control 192.168.10.10. Fantastic, it's able to ping. And once it's able to ping, we are good to go. But as you can look here, it's not giving us an appropriate IP address for our DNS. So we had to go and punch in those informations in there. Great. So I'm going to the network and sharing centers, network cards, the properties, and I must put in, you can see it doesn't even have the default gateway information in there. I have that's just the interface of your routers to this segment is linked up to, and then 168.10.10. So the domain controller, which is 10.10, is also acting as our DNS server. I put that in there. Great. And let me go back to my IP config stuff. Hit that. I can see now I have an appropriate DNS there. So I want to say NS lookup 192.168.10.10. Great, is giving me the full name, both forward and reverse local zone. So once you see such, it means these machines can easily join the domain now. So to do that, you have many ways of trying to join the domain. So we can go to our File Explorer, you right click this PC, properties, and you scroll down, you see the advanced system settings, or you can just key that into the search advanced system settings, which will lead you here, and change, and you can say I want to join that domain. So the name of the domain is lemproghana.com. We say okay. It's asking for the domain controller administrative accounts and password. Key in that. Great. So as you can see, welcome to learnproghana.com domain. So it means we have successfully joined the domain and we will allow it to restart now. 10. Well, this machine has joined the domain. So let me log on to the domain controller. Administrators, I'm logging on at learnproghana.com. And then I key in my password, hit it. Great, it's trying to log on now. We check and we can see that yes, this PC loan-PC1, and then we check, so you can see clearly a computer has joined the domain without any issues. And when you go to the domain controller, he himself is acting as a domain controllers. And that's it for now. And this is it that we have today. Note that if you want to learn more of these things, come to Learn Pro. We are theoretically biased as well as practically strong and ready to help you to enhance your IT career endeavor. That's what we have for today. Have a great day. Bye for now.